So, first of all, I just want to give a shout out to Sunny from It's a Crime and Shame, who got hold of the documents, the latest documents for me, which are essentially the same documents with less redactions. So, greatly appreciative of that. So, reading through one of the documents, there were, as you know, a few new things, a few things that had been redacted previously and we could see, such as the time where Cindy had a missed call from Malaya at 8:28, even though Malaya supposedly didn't wake up till 9:40 the morning that the children went missing. So I will be doing a closer look at all that in terms of that timeline again, although to me it just simply proves yet again that whatever happened did not happen on the Friday morning. I do strongly believe that it happened on the Friday, and the reason why their timeline is so messy on the Friday morning is that basically it's a load of BS. But there's been a few things that stood out to me in the document. Some of them were new things. Some of them were things that I'd read through before, but hadn't kind of connected the dots previously. So there's actually a few videos that I want to make that's discussing things that have questions that have arisen for me coming from the newer versions of the documents. So in this video, my main focus, the thing that drew my attention originally, was looking at Malaya's description of Lily wearing all pink pretty much with a pink Barbie top. And it just stuck in my head because of the comment that we heard from Wade where he reckoned that he saw some of Lily's clothes on the windscreen of a car on the first day that they were missing. So I wanted to have a bit of a dig into that. And while I was pulling up images from my folder that I have, which has countless images of the property, there were a few other things that jumped out at me that I wanted to address. One of them I've been meaning to address for a while, and I think it just got forgotten with all the new interviews and everything. So this is kind of another one of those I Spy videos. The initial focus is talking about Lily's Barbie top and this claim from Wade. But there's a few other things that I noticed that I wanted to point out. Now, this is the description that we have from Malaya in the documents. Lily was wearing a pink sweater, pink pyjamas, with white shapes, and a Barbie top with pink socks. And then her backpack was beside her. Then we have Jack was wearing black sweatpants, a t-shirt and a diaper, as he was only partially trained. Now, first of all, I want to talk about Jack, because in one of the very early interviews, you have Daniel talking about, we didn't get a lot of detail at first about what Jack was wearing, other than dinosaur boots and a pull-up. So, in my head, given that the story that we're supposed to believe is that these children got themselves out of bed, they were playing around the house for a while, then they went outside and they were playing in the yard for a while and they wandered off, and the information we were given was that Jack was wearing dinosaur boots and a pull-up, and that's all the information we initially had. So, in my brain, a little 4-year-old boy who is still in a pull-up, in my head, especially because of Daniel's comment that he was wearing a pull-up, it probably isn't on him anymore or something like that. So in my head, I was picturing him sleeping just in a pull-up without any other pyjama bottoms or tracksuit bottoms or anything like that. So my question is this. If Jack was wearing black sweatpants and a pull-up, why is it that Daniel believes that Jack would have got rid of the pull-up sometime after they wandered off? Essentially implying that they should find that lying around somewhere. Because he would have had to have got rid of the sweatpants as well, but Daniel never talks about that. You're not going to have a little boy out in the woods who just decides to pull off his sweatpants, pull off his pull-up, and then put his sweatpants back on. That makes no sense whatsoever. And like I said, this is one of the things that I actually hadn't picked up on before when I first read the documents. But now it's like, well, hang on, that something just doesn't quite add up here when it comes to Jack. Now, with Lily, we have Lily wearing all pink. And we have Lily wearing her Barbie top. Now, first of all, one of the early rumours that was going around, people took what was said by Wade and claimed that Wade had said that he saw a pink Barbie top on a car and that's the top that Lily was meant to be wearing. Well, yes, it says here she was wearing a Barbie top, but I'm going to play the Wade audio in a minute so we can clarify that. But my question is this. Does anybody else put their children to bed with this amount of clothing on? And if you did put your children to bed with that amount of clothing on, would they still be wearing all that clothing the following morning? Because to me it just seems a little bit odd. Even if you were so tired and all the clean clothes were in a bag, wouldn't you take off the sweater? Wouldn't you maybe take off the socks? And why did she go into town in pink pyjamas? There's just, especially because, according to this, Jack was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. So why, if Malaya had apparently not changed them from the clothes they were wearing through the day, was Lily wearing pyjamas and Jack was just wearing track pants? Because I would have thought that if you were so slack that you left one kid in pyjamas all day, that you'd probably leave the other kid in pyjamas all day. And they didn't leave until 12 o'clock to go into town and do all their stuff. So, and according to Malaya, they were up by I think she said 8:30 or something on the Thursday morning. So she didn't consider all that time before heading out putting Lily into proper clothes as opposed to just taking her out shopping in pyjamas. Be interesting to know if the CCTV footage they have from Dollarama has Lily in a pair of pyjamas. But why would Lily be in pyjamas and Jack would be in sweatpants? That makes no sense to me either. Now, sure, some kids get little fixations at various ages. I can remember when I was quite young and my mum bought me a pair of pink gumboots. They were this fairy floss kind of pink colour and the soles were white, and I thought they were the best thing on the planet. And I can remember we were going out shopping and I wanted to wear my pink gumboots. And Mum was like, no, you're not going to wear pink gumboots out shopping. And I actually scored a brand new pair of shoes out of that because I was adamant. I think there's a little bit of the ADHD kid in there, me being like, no, this is what I want to wear. So kids do have these crazy little quirks occasionally where they become fixated with something in terms of clothing and stuff. But just taking your kid out at 12 o'clock in the middle of the day in pink pyjamas, I would be too embarrassed as a parent to do that. Because I would think that the whole world would be looking at my child and looking at me and thinking, you are the worst parent on the planet. So it just seems odd to me that supposedly these are the clothes that the children wore all day, and Lily went to bed in pink pyjamas while Jack went to bed in black sweatpants. And like I said, way, way overdressed. If he wasn't wearing the same diaper that he was wearing when they went out shopping, then surely she would have had to have changed him before bed. Meaning that he could have slept in pyjamas, because she would have had to have taken his sweatpants off to put a fresh diaper on him, if it's a pull-up. So why was he sleeping in sweatpants? This does not add up for me at all. It's hugely problematic. Now, like I said, there was a lot of people at one point claiming that what Wade saw was Lily's Barbie top. And then for a little while there, Daniel had this ridiculous story going out with, well, you know, that's the clothes that you think they were in, but actually they may have changed their clothes, but it's a big secret. Like, was that just the biggest load of BS you've ever heard on the planet? Like, was he on something when he was saying that? Like, oh, well, you know, it's actually not what you think. I mean, honestly, seriously. I think maybe he got called out over it. Maybe they got the CCTV footage in and said, actually, Lily wasn't wearing pink pyjamas in the shops. And this is what you guys claim she was wearing. Don't know. Something just does not add up. But anyway, let's listen to the audio from Wade to try and get some clarity about this Barbie top that people claim is what he saw on the windscreen of the vehicle.
The day they went missing, I seen one of Lily's shirts in the car here in the coat. I forgot all about it. I'm the only one that noticed that.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
You know them cars that are parked outside?
The Daniel Martel's car?
Yeah, there's a shirt.
Was it short? Is it?
There's one of Lily's shirt and a jacket. On the car, like on the wind, right here.
It was a nice day.
So in actual fact, he does not once mention anything about a Barbie shirt. He just said one of Lily's shirts and a jacket on the windscreen of a car. Now, he didn't clarify which car, but we know that the car that was parked directly behind the four-wheeler, in the aerial shots you can see that there was something on the windscreen. So is this what he's referring to on the windscreen of this car? It looks like it is kind of pink, so maybe it is one of Lily's tops. I'm not sure if it's a Barbie top. I'm not even sure if it's one of Lily's tops. But it could be pink, if it's a light pink. But Wade did not say anything about it being a Barbie top. He just said one of Lily's tops. Now, I don't see a jacket there in that image. And the other thing with this image is that this is actually from the Saturday. So this is the day after they were reported missing. How do I know this? Because this right here is the very first aerial shot that was taken of the property. You can see this is where you had the wood pile under the location where Janie claimed the swings were. You can also see the location on the driveway where we see the vehicle and the four-wheeler, that there isn't a vehicle or a four-wheeler on the driveway. There's those things with gravel in it by the looks of it, but no vehicle there. And this is the first photo that we saw. So if that vehicle was there on the first day, then it wasn't there at first. But given that, according to Janie, her movements on the first day basically involve her heading up into the woods and searching, and then going out on the four-wheeler with Justin, and apparently Daniel's movements on the first day were him heading out in Malaya's car, then that vehicle shouldn't have moved at all on the Friday anyway. Because it looks to me, I believe, when you look at the other shots of the property, I believe that that may be Janie's vehicle. The point, however, is this is the first aerial shot. The vehicle's not there, the four-wheeler's not there, meaning that that vehicle was driven in between when the children went missing and when that aerial shot was taken. So whatever was on the windscreen was probably not connected to the disappearance. If it was a piece of clothing, it could possibly be one of those situations where a dog team has taken a piece of clothing, they've gone out, they've used that as a smell for the dog. Maybe that is the piece of clothing that was used for the dog team that was working the property. Maybe they finished working the property, gave it back to Daniel, who, as we've seen in images, him and Justin were sitting on that four-wheeler. Maybe it was then just dumped on that windscreen because he wasn't going inside. So is it possible that's what Wade saw? But he also mentions a jacket. But I can't see any evidence in any of the aerial shots. So I don't know which car he's referring to. And we don't know if the top that he saw was what Lily should have been wearing. There is, however, this image that people were picking over really, really early on in the case. And I'm still not satisfied over what that is on the ground. It's something pink. It's got darker pink bits on it. From the way it's laying, I could only suggest that it could be a pair of pyjama bottoms maybe, or a backpack. But I don't think it's a backpack. It just does not look like the right shape. And it also doesn't seem to be the right size. It looks too big, and if it was a backpack, then those bits, those straight bits, would be smaller. So I'm thinking that it's probably a pair of maybe pyjama bottoms, maybe just a pair of trousers, and it's just that they're folded, and because it is from a distance, we can't tell really what they are. But is that what Wade saw on the Friday on a windscreen of a car? And to him, maybe because it was all bunched up, he thought that it looked like a jacket. Because here's the thing that's been bothering me for a while. And when I look at that piece of material, whatever it is, that piece of clothing, the location of it is significant. Because if you look further back from it, sort of behind this car that's got the wheel off and is jacked up, there is a massive, massive oil patch there. There's a vehicle missing from this property. There's a vehicle that is usually in that location and spends a lot of time in that location. And that's fresh oil. So was there a vehicle there on the Friday that was removed before that first aerial shot was taken? And maybe that's where Wade saw the thing that he thought was a jacket and one of Lily's tops. And like I said, if there was a vehicle there, which it certainly seems like there was, where was it after that? It's a vehicle that belongs on that property. It wasn't someone visiting, unless their car just completely lost its sump draining plug and just randomly drained of all its sump oil. Which I think we would have heard about because that would have been a significant event. Now, I know someone's probably going to say, well, they must have just moved the vehicle somewhere else. But that doesn't work in my head. First of all, we've seen many, many aerial shots. There's no other oil patches in other locations where a vehicle has been parked. Meaning the vehicle that was parked there, that is the location where that vehicle was always parked. Meaning that the person who drove that vehicle always parked in the same spot. There's no need to move the vehicle from that spot for the sake of the search. So where did it go? Why is there this massive fresh oil spot that indicates there was a vehicle parked right next to this one that's got the wheel off? That indicates that there was a vehicle quite recently prior to this photo being taken. And yet there's no sign of that vehicle now. So we don't really have answers about this top and jacket that Wade said he saw, other than that we know that whoever started talking about him having seen the Barbie top, that is not the case. He did not say that. But we do have this mystery vehicle that has been on the property, parked in the same location, up until sometime very shortly before this photo was taken. A vehicle that was not parked in other locations on the property, as is evident by the fact that there is no other massive oil patches anywhere on the property. That's got me really curious. Now, moving on from that, there was one more thing that I spotted this time round that I'm really curious about because I actually hadn't picked up on it before. So I first spotted it in this photo. And the problem with this photo is that the photo is cut off so you don't see the rest. There is a ladder on the bank up behind Janie's RV, which seems like a really odd spot to have a ladder. Now, at a guess, I'm going to say that this was one of the early photos also, because even though we can't see behind the cubby house, we can see that the woodpile has not at that point in time been transferred into the woodshed behind, which suggests to me that there was still a pile of wood between the woodshed and the cubby house. And also, when I look down at the driveway, while there is rocks scattered around, that's not the location of that weird can that you can see in later photos. When Belinda was there on the Saturday, that weird can wasn't there. That hadn't been put there at that point in time. So this photo predates that pile of rocks, and I'm thinking this photo is probably from the Friday because we can't see the wood pile having been transferred into the wood shed. So we have this odd ladder that looks like it's going up onto the bank up behind Janie's RV. When you zoom in on it, it does look quite rough, but you can see you have the parallel bits of wood either side, and there are definitely at least 2 bottom rungs, and it looks like there may well be a top rung as well. It is a crude ladder that's been fashioned from down trees by the looks of it. But the thing is, it appears to be the remains of some sort of structure. Or quite possibly that there is one level and underneath you could get to. I don't know. It does not look natural. It looks like it has been put there by a person. It's got all these branches over the top of it. When you first glance at it, you would think, well, that looks like it's something that hasn't been used in a while and it's just deteriorated. But if that was the case, then why is that flimsy ladder still there? You have what looks like 2 posts off on the side, which makes me wonder if this is another kind of cubby kind of thing, and those 2 posts off to the side are maybe an entrance to underneath. Is it another children's cubby? Is it somewhere where someone hides things? I don't know. It is just, there are so many odd things on this property. You have those 2 RV little toy car things that are shoved off to the side of the house and are barricaded off with, looks like logs or rocks. And then you've got that big branch that looks like you would have to slide it out of the way to pull them out. They're in a location where you're not likely to see them unless you stumbled onto them. Same with this. I never even noticed before that it had some amount of structure to it. But it definitely seems to me to have some amount of structure to it. But there's all these branches all over the top of it as well. I mean, am I just imagining this? It just seems really odd to me. It just seems like this property has so many hidden nooks and crannies. Now, I 100% believe Daniel when he says the children are not on the property. Janie says the same thing. Their confidence, the way they say it, has me convinced the children are not anywhere there on the property. And we know that they had the dogs on the property. If the children were there, they would have found them. But what's with all these little odd structures all over the place? What's with these things like the little cars tucked off, the little RVs or whatever they are, tucked off, hidden away down beside the house? What's with this thing that, when you look at it, looks like it should be some sort of structure? That definitely looks like a ladder of sorts. And it certainly looks like you could quite possibly go underneath. I mean, why is it cleared right up to this point? You've got all this, if this is just the way it's all landed, you've got all this fantastic dry kindling here on a property that's heated with a wood heater. And yet they have wood that looks like it's been brought in and cut. Now, it could well be that Daniel just has a fixation with building little forts and cubby houses around the property for his children to play in. Because we saw those other ones up in the woods. So maybe that was originally a similar thing. And maybe the ladder is just left there because it was thrown together with branches. Who knows? My biggest question, though, from looking at everything on this property is, where is the car that belongs with that oil spill? That vehicle was there for a very long time. That vehicle was only recently removed from the property. That vehicle has not been parked anywhere else on the property. When you see that much oil coming out of a vehicle, then you would know if it was parked somewhere else on the property at another time. Because it wouldn't take long to get an oil patch underneath. That is a car with a major oil problem. So no, there's no startling revelations in this particular video. Just observations and a few questions. Just things that have got me a little bit interested. And I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions. I am quite willing to accept that maybe that area up the back, that where it looks like there's a ladder, maybe that's just coincidentally, that's the way it's all landed, and it just looks like it's some sort of former structure. But I would like to know your thoughts on that. I would like to know your thoughts on that big oil patch in terms of where's the vehicle. If that was Daniel's vehicle, which he apparently moved to his father's property, like I said, that vehicle was there extremely recently. Not long before that photo was taken, that vehicle was still there. So why was it moved at that point in time? Is it Daniel's vehicle that is now sitting on Earl's property? Is it someone else's vehicle? I'm just curious. I want to know where that vehicle is and why it was there pretty much right up until the time when those children went missing. And yet it seems like with the children gone, that vehicle is not there. Anyway, thanks for listening. Do let me know your thoughts on this, because this is just me kind of throwing out questions, throwing out observations, where I really would like to have your input, your thoughts. What do you see? What do you think is the situation with each of these things that I've discussed? So on that note, thanks for listening. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe. Also, please hit that like button and please leave a comment below. Thank you, and I will catch you in the next one.
I've been into